the like shit hits the fan.
Literally, it's almost like you just check out of reality just to survive.
Something that I guess I've never really talked about. I don't even think I told you I was gonna say this.
So why don't we go back to regular jobs? Literally, we got a knock on the door from the mailman with a certified letter.
Stupid. Like, I'm looking at this going, what in the hell?
You'll be there on phone.
This dish is bananas.
It is bananas. I smell like a rotten banana.
You don't smell bad to me, you always smell good to me. I'm serious, even your stinkiness.
Hey, what's up guys?
Hey, we're back. Thank you all so much for the support on the previous videos. Oh my gosh. We actually haven't even been able to go through and approve all the comments. I made an Insta story about this, but just real quick, our comments all have to be approved due to YouTube's policies and stuff. So we have to go through and individually read each one and approve it. So if you haven't seen your comment come through, we're getting to it. We just do have to individually approve each one. So yes. Yeah. That's where we are there. We really appreciate all the support. Like,
yes, it's been amazing.
The response has been overwhelmingly positive, and we appreciate that so much because we were like, everybody's going to hate us and tell us we're terrible people, and y'all were all like, oh, we get it. We've been there.
Right.
So, unfortunately, it sounds like this is something that happens as far as getting in debt and having things go wrong. I guess if you totally missed the last video, in our previous video, we talked about kind of what has happened financially for us. We started off on the Dave Ramsey bandwagon, completely debt-free for the first 2007 to 2016. So how many years is that? 9 years of our marriage. For the first 9 years of our marriage, and we're very diligent with a budget. Did the envelope system initially, and then over the years, we're basically just using our debit cards, but still balancing it, still maintaining a budget. Then started to slip a little bit as we started having kids, as we started doing YouTube full time, and our payment schedule wasn't as regular. So when
one thing we didn't touch on last time was you were hardcore couponing.
Yeah.
Prior to kids, when you had time, and like you had the whole coupon binder system down.
Oh yeah.
We had video, like early videos on couponing 101.
How to do it, and I'd go get like $200 worth of groceries for like $20, and I mean, it was, we didn't have kids, and that was kind of like my hobby at the time, so I spent a lot of time doing it, but it was obviously beneficial. So yeah. You know, we spent...
They have apps and stuff for that now, but it's still not the same as what you were doing.
Yeah, so we've always been very careful and very diligent with our money. When we were working full-time office jobs outside of the business that we currently own and run ourselves, we were obviously, like the rest of the world, getting paychecks on like an every 2 week or monthly or whatever schedule. So we knew exactly when it was gonna come in, we knew exactly how much it was gonna be. So we basically were like, every month we knew we had this much for this category, this much for this category, and so it wasn't that hard to keep up with.
Right.
Then when we started doing YouTube,
it's more like a freelance job.
Right.
Like
so some
in
months,
a sense.
Yeah.
You do get the routine YouTube payment, but it's expanded way beyond YouTube at this point.
Yeah, well at this point it definitely has.
Yeah,
but when at that point
it was
just YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's where we were making our money. And so, you know, some months you'd make a good bit more than you would on other months. And so it was a little bit less predictable. So we would kind of, I don't know, we never, at that point, we had just had a baby in 2014. And that's when Cullen started doing YouTube full time in the beginning of 2014. We had our baby in September of 2014. I got maternity leave for 12 weeks, went back to work for a couple of months, and then I just decided like I wanted to be at home with my baby. We were making enough on YouTube at that point to pay for all of our expenses.
So why don't we go back to regular jobs?
And that is the question we get all the time. Let's just address that first before we go any further. I'm gonna try to not make this video all over the place. We're like making this, anyway.
My brain is all over the place.
Oh, our brains are really all over the place.
It's
a crazy
IRS
day.
Tax forms we've got. And I was like totally coherent before we sat down to do this.
Yeah.
And then literally we got a knock on the door from the mailman with a certified letter saying,
We'll get into that. Just
oh
hold
my
on.
gosh.
Get on another
I'm
train
like,
of thought. We have a lot of
got
trains
like
of thoughts.
5 texts from, okay, anyway.
I know people are getting like, I can't keep up with all this, y'all are stressing me out. The question of why are we ever going to, it kind of really drives me crazy, to be honest, when people say, are you ever gonna go back to work, or why don't you get a job, or why don't you
a real job.
Get a real job, why don't you go find employment or whatever. What we're doing right now is a real job. It pays real money, and something that pays real money is a real job. It is not a consistent paycheck in a sense of, we don't know that every single month we're gonna make a certain amount of money. I mean, we obviously can kind of plan based on what we know we're gonna make, but when you work with brands and a million different companies, you have people that forget to pay you, or pay you early, or pay you late, or forget to run your invoice, and
just like a freelance job.
A freelance job. And so that part of it is a little bit unpredictable. So that makes things a little bit different than a typical job. We are working, even though we work from home and run our business from home. We have a business, we have an LLC, it's set up as a business.
We pay real taxes.
We pay real business taxes. We pay real personal taxes, which apparently is a whole nother situation. But as far as the amount of money we're making, we are honestly, even though we're making less doing our social media business right now than we were 2 years ago, we're still making more than we were making at our desk jobs. So it's not that we aren't making any money, it's that we're managing our money poorly.
Right.
Had we managed our money well and not bought a house that was way too big with dumb logic that we had in our brains, we would not be in this situation. So just to answer y'all's questions about that, or a car that we couldn't afford, we're about to get into all that too.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the 2 questions on that. The third question of well, wouldn't you want the stability to go back to a desk job, blah, blah, blah. As far as for me personally, and I think you would probably agree, but as far as for me personally, I have a degree in clinical child psychology, and I'm a licensed clinical child psychologist. But as far as what I'm doing right now and my mission and passion in life, I am reaching way more people doing the work I'm doing now than I would be if I was sitting at a desk doing the job I was doing previously. So for me personally, this is what I want to do.
And it's so cliche too, and money shouldn't be the first thing, but it's obviously...
It's what people talk about.
It's what people talk about, and the fact that you can go write a report for a patient or somebody that comes in for a full week and only get $600 or whatever the case may be, or do a brand deal and incorporated with our family and being able to do the stuff that you do on the side on top of that and get the triple the amount for the however many hours it might take versus a whole week of report writing, of grinding your head into the wall, basically. I don't know.
Which is what I was enjoying doing.
Yeah, I mean,
at the time. But it's now I'm very passionate about sharing more on my podcast as far as my personal journey, which includes psychology stuff, includes my degree, especially with my kids being younger right now. Obviously, they do go to school, but I have a very flexible schedule. I can go on field trips. I can stay home with them if they're sick. There's less issues there. Anyways, we're not I know we don't have to explain ourselves, but we're just answering the question because it gets asked a lot.
Yeah.
For you personally,
I love that it's my creative outlet. Even if I were at a desk job like I used to do, even still I would make fun videos sitting at my desk with my socks and my shoes throwing up in the air and doing fun stuff with my orange pills at lunch and whatever the case is. But that creative outlet of being able to create, being creative and creating, I wouldn't necessarily have as much flexibility as far as that goes too. And I think we sound, or I at least feel like I sound just frustrated with my current job right now, but it's not that. I'm just frustrated at myself or ourselves for getting in this situation financially. The job aspect of it is a dream, and it's a dream come true, and it's something we've worked hard for.
And we obviously know how unpredictable YouTube itself is,
Yeah, I mean,
and that's
it's like
why
any
we
job.
are pursuing other areas, you know, podcasts and other aspects of our business that, you know, we haven't even talked about with you guys yet. So we're always working on that. There's a ton of people in the world that are entrepreneurs or small business owners or people that own Etsy shops or, you know, run eBay businesses or whatever. I mean, there's people that do all kinds of things.
And to say we've never thought of it would be a lie. Like that'd be like logic. Like I don't know. Yes, we've thought about like picking up a side job. I mean, obviously, when you get to a point, you're like, okay, well, maybe we need to do this and that and this and that other thing to make ends meet.
Well, and people have said, why don't you edit for somebody else? Why don't you start editing
Right.
for somebody? But then it's like, that's just such a catch-22 with what we're trying to do with our business, because then you're putting your time into working for somebody else, which is taking away from time you could be put into creating your content, doing,
Yes.
like building up our business.
You
And
have to invest in yourself
right.
in order to have the growth.
So
And that's what we've done. I mean, with the emotional, physical, and mental, and everything else, like we've invested in ourselves to learn about ourselves, to get to this point, to realize, what are we doing here? Why are we this much in debt? And
right. So back to where we were on 2014. We started having a more variable income. It wasn't a fixed income because we weren't working for big business or whatever. So as that money came in, so initially it was still a side job. So any money that came in was on top of our paychecks from our jobs. We were kind of incorporating it into different areas, putting it in savings or whatever. Then once we started making a certain amount of money, you do obviously have to start paying taxes on that. You incorporate
which
it as
we
a
had
business.
no idea.
We had no idea the first. Well,
I mean,
we did.
We knew, but like as
Everybody was just like, put aside some of that to save for taxes, you know?
it kind of goes back to the first video we talked about, where we got into our marriage and I had $3,000 or $2,000, whatever, in debt from 1099s, because it's just that mentality. It's that stuff they don't teach you, and like we were getting all this money, brand money coming in on top of everything else, but still having to create and invest in ourselves. But it was just like,
But we were putting some to the side.
we
so
were putting it to the side, but
prepared.
we weren't like Dave Ramsey. We weren't
Right.
like telling it where to go. We were just kind of throwing it up in the air, hoping it sticks.
Not to mention, we had just been through 2 miscarriages, trying to get pregnant. And at that time, if you've ever been through something like that, you kind of just go into survival mode and you just don't care about anything else, which is bad. And it's a strategy that I personally still find myself falling into, that's very damaging to like my life and myself and my job and everything else. But it's really, even with the house stuff, I get like, okay, we just have to get this house sold, to the detriment of like not attending to other things that I need to be attending to. So that's where we kind of were. And it was like, I don't even care if we, you know, I can't even think about life right now, so we're just gonna eat out every night this week. Or, you know,
You would buy clothes on some of these Etsy shops late at night, and then like, they would get shipped to our house 2 weeks
like,
later, and you're like, I don't even remember ordering this. Literally, it's almost like you just check out of reality just to survive, to get to a certain point.
We mentioned about like buying things to kind of find joy or to fill the empty hole of what we were struggling with, and that's a whole different topic. But we started kind of getting down that path, and that's just such a slippery slope. Once you kind of like start doing that a little bit, start not paying attention to where your money's going, start having a little more money than you had before, it's so much easier to just continue doing that. And I remember so many times telling myself like, God, I know I'm gonna regret this later, but like I'll get it back together and we'll get back on a budget next month or in a couple months, or as soon as I am finally pregnant and we're not stressed out about this. Well, something that I guess I've never really talked about, I don't even think I told you I was gonna say this, but I feel like this does have a lot to do with some of it. We both have ADHD, and I have been diagnosed with ADHD in college and prescribed ADHD medication. That's something you can't take while you're pregnant, while you're trying to get pregnant and all of that. So I have always been the one that's been the budget person. Like, I'm the nerd.
Dave says there's a free spirit and a nerd in every relationship.
And I'm the nerd.
She's the nerd. She's the statistic. She's got her budgets lined and everything. And I'm the free spirit. And
so that's where it was helpful in the beginning of our marriage to hear that. And for him to realize, like, okay, just fine, you handle the budget and all that stuff. Well, so as I'm pregnant, breastfeeding, pregnant again, breastfeeding again, all of that, and not taking medication that previously was helping me keep track of all the stuff and make sure I was doing what I was supposed to be doing and keep it all organized, I wasn't able to do that. And I feel like that contributed a lot to me just being like, whatever, I don't know. Like, I can't even get this all organized in my head or on paper or in the bank. For me personally, I know that I slacked on my job of being the nerd. There's the truth about half of the rest of our life. So as things started picking up with our business, then we're pregnant with another baby. We have, at this point, we're in 2015. We had incorporated our company into an LLC, into a business. We were working with some accountants that were helping us with all of that, helping us with the tax side of things. We had no idea about businesses and business taxes and how you have to, like, the way the businesses work, you have things that you like write off as a business expense. So we buy a new camera, we buy a new computer, we buy a new editing software, we pay for something that we have to buy to make a video or whatever. That is something that can be listed as a business expense that will allow you to write that off. And I could be saying this all wrong, but then you won't have to pay the taxes on that money or whatever. The way they explain it to us is that, say at the end of the year, you're gonna owe like $10,000 in taxes. You're looking at it as you can go and spend $10,000 in purchases on business equipment or whatever, or you can just give it to the IRS. But if you spend it, then you're using it on something that you can use for your business. To help further your business. To help grow your business. Yeah. So like, you could basically either just give it away and get nothing back out of it, or you can use it to benefit your business and not have to pay as much to the IRS.
Yes.
Did I explain that right?
That's pretty good explanation.
I don't even know if that's right.
No, I think that's very, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. But on the flip side of that, in our mind, we were like, why are we gonna spend money that we don't have? Like, because we were just gonna put it all on the business card, and then that way we'd have all this equipment too. I remember one year we went and got like one of everything at the Apple store.
Well, that's what I was about to say, is that we got to the end of our first year of being a business, and it was like, okay, you're gonna owe $10,000 in taxes, or you can go spend, you need to spend $10,000 on, you know, new equipment or stuff for your business. And so we were like, well, how do we do that? Because we don't actually even have $10,000 in our bank account, you know? Say we had like $7,000 or something. And they were like, well, if you get this credit card, then you can build up like Sky Miles or whatever, which is great because y'all travel a lot with your business, and then you know you'll pay it off because you're about to get this money coming in the next month. And so we were like, oh, we feel really uneasy about this. This isn't the way we do things. But we'd rather not just give away $10,000 because we didn't even have $10,000 to give away. So we went and bought the things that were beneficial for our business. I mean, we didn't just go buy a bunch of like Twinkies or something. I mean, we bought equipment for our business.
And you walk out of there with that like,
that feeling.
That high of like, whoa, it's like Christmas again, or Christmas before Christmas.
Like, this is so awesome.
And we even bought like iPads for some of the family members, like to use to help with the business, like on the side, you know, like as a, like, whoa, everything just was like that endorphin rush of like, wow, this is amazing. But then,
well, and then we got that feeling, and we're like, oh, so buying stuff feels good, and we put it on a credit card. Like, okay, so we actually did that, and it was okay. We walked out, and like, nobody's asking us for money. Okay. So then come the next month, I think, you know, we paid off a little bit of it, but it was like, well, I'll pay off some of it, but we don't have, or we don't want to put as much money towards the whole thing. So the next month, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Snowball.
The snowball of
the debt snowball.
How it grows.
Opposite way.
Right, the opposite way. As we kind of got into that mentality, it was more like, okay, well, this is a business expense, so we'll just put it on this credit card. Well, so then a little bit further down the line, we get to where, you know, you got a brand new baby, or you're pregnant, or you're I was on bed rest for however long. I'm the one that pays the bills, does the money stuff. And then it was like a couple months of like, crap, I totally forgot to even pay the credit card bill. So now there's like a $70 late fee, plus now you've got the interest, greater interest from the previous month. And so we were advised to set up auto pay on the credit card to automatically auto pay the minimum payment just in case we forgot. So the intention of that was like, if I forgot, at least that would have been paid and I could go in a few days later and pay the remainder. Cause I was still like, no, we're paying this off. Like, we're not just gonna keep a balance on a credit card. Well, then when life gets crazy and the like shit hits the fan, and I'm just like, whatever, the minimum payment's fine. Like, didn't look at it, just let it go through for a few months. You're missing out on, first of all, making the full payment, and second of all, going in and visually seeing like $15,000 on your credit card, and when you're like, oh shoot, we can't do this. So you don't even realize how much you're building up on the credit card. So that was mistake number like 17.
To kind of step back a little bit too, like as far as what we do and just swiping that business card, as a business, like basically a portion of our utilities, house, throw pillows for set, is all going out to eat. Was if we had a couple email talks at dinner, that was a business expense because of what we do, and it's the nature of the job, which is good and beneficial and very nice.
Any trip we took, or like
getting haircuts for going out to VidCon and stuff like that, it's very nice to write it off as a business expense if you are
keeping up with the
well
fact
educated in the whole way to pay it off.
Well, and it was going on that credit card because it was like, well, let's just use this for all of our business expenses so that we can build up those Sky Miles. So then that mixed with forgetting to pay the bill or only paying the minimum payment because of auto pay and all that, then you're adding up all these expenses that if it was coming out of our debit card, we would see like, oh, this was, we shouldn't have spent that much on this. But basically when you're a daily vlogger, a lot of things are business expenses. And so anyways, that added up quickly.
And that's how another way, it wasn't just cameras and batteries and lights. It was
there's a lot of things.
Almost everything.
There's several different categories. If you've ever into business and you know, you've, especially like with our job, like you said, you've got like wardrobe and set and travel and all the things. Come to the end of another year. This was the end of 16, after Brooks had been born in July, we were advised that it would be beneficial to buy a business vehicle, which I think a lot of people have business vehicles. And based on the fact that we travel and, you know, we're going places, whatever.
And we got 2 small kids and I had a Jetta.
I mean, I wouldn't say we needed a new car, but we actually needed more space for when we did like drive to the beach or whatever with dogs and kids and luggage and stuff. Being the way that we've always been was like, okay, well, we need to pay cash for this car. And there was some logic behind the whole thing. I don't know. I just remember being not really with it. And there was some logic behind like, if you need to get a car where you have payments on it in order to help with your tax.
It made so much sense at the time in my head and in the way it was told to us. These people are good at what they do, and that's why they do it.
And again, I said this last time, but we're not blaming, we're not making excuses. I know it sounds like we're making excuses, but we're giving y'all an explanation.
Our story.
Because we want people not to make the same mistakes. Nobody held the gun to our head and made us purchase anything. We chose to, we could have chosen not to. But, so we went and we financed our new vehicle, which we traded your car in, so we did get the money back for that.
That was like the down payment probably, wasn't it? I don't know.
That was the down payment, and then I think we financed the entire rest of it. Like we hadn't even saved, I mean we had money in savings, but it was like, this is more somehow tax beneficial to finance
for the
it.
Interest rates of the next year or something? I don't know.
If you're not familiar with the Suburban, I'm pretty sure it was like $60,000. Was it not?
72 or something.
I don't know.
We're talking numbers, y'all.
Like, here goes some numbers.
Yeah, 72K, or maybe 71, 60, I don't know.
Let me just pull it back up and I'll tell y'all. We can keep talking while I'm looking this up.
Yeah, it was crazy though. And again, though, we left after, y'all, if you've been through the car buying process, drain of the day, because it took like a full day almost, not really, but like 5 hours of sitting in this car dealership.
We had 2 little kids. Which I think were with my mom or something.
Yeah, we were by ourselves, I think, at that time. But the feeling you got once the keys were in your hand were amazing. And then the new car smell and all this and that and the other. But like, to give up, I remember being so sad cleaning out my car, the glove box in my car, because I don't think we intentionally were there that day. I mean, we were looking, but I don't think we knew that that was going to be the car we were going to buy that day. So my car still had stuff all in it. And I was sitting there cleaning out my car, just thinking like, am I making the right decision? Like, I have no payments except for the gas that I put in this car that I'm about to hand over,
and like we had
this car dealership.
Saved it up and paid. It was like we had an attachment to it in the sense of like, we were so proud of ourselves for having saved up the money and paid cash for
it was
that
a
car.
5-speed, and I was getting kind of annoyed with that, and so I was like justifying it this, that way, and the other, and we got leather in the Suburban that was cloth. You know, those little cosmetic details made it a big difference. Obviously the size and everything, but like, yeah, just the feeling when we left there was...
You feel excited, but I remember being like,
buyer's remorse.
What are we doing? Like, this isn't us. Like, we don't finance a car. Like, that is literally the epitome of the opposite of what we know we're supposed to do. Okay, so the original loan amount was $57,700.84. So,
so it was nuts.
This is such a weird part of this, because I'm like, it's so weird to like actually tell somebody numbers. See, I think it was 70 or 67 or something, but we paid the trade-in, and then maybe we did put some down but we did like a 5-year, $57,000. We financed a car. Like, that is just stupid. Like, I'm looking at this going, what in the hell? We're like,
what were we thinking for real?
That's like, you could buy.
Do you know how many cars I could buy with that right now and still get around just fine?
And I don't know, I don't even know, because we've never financed a car. We don't believe in financing cars. So I don't even know what a typical financing period is, but we financed this car for 5 years, 72 months. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know if most people do it for, I have no idea. I just remember being like, oh, that's not bad. 5 years is nothing. So we're currently 3 years into that, and we still owe $30,000 and $824.94 on that car. That's our biggest debt.
All right, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, bye.
So that's our biggest debt right now, other than our house. I know that if we were to call Dave Ramsey, he'd be like, idiots, sell your car.
So that's what we're gonna do next. Like that and the golf cart.
That's kind of our first next step, which the golf cart is paid for.
Golf cart is paid for, but like it's like
our monthly payment on this car is $929. Which actually, I saw this, that the payment is actually only, minimum payment is $835, but we're paying $929. I don't remember
why. A lot of y'all are like spitting your food out right now. $929 a month
for a car payment. We were like, oh, that's nothing. Because at the time, we were making way more money than we are now.
I was telling my sister about this before I got back here, and she was like, mine is like $250. $300, and I got a van, and like it's got just as much space as a freaking thing, and I'm like,
what is wrong?
Oh my god!
Like, if y'all just like, please don't be mean. I'm just like, I know you won't, because y'all were very nice last time, but like, seriously, try to have some like niceness. You can tell us we're dumb, it's fine, but just like try to do it nicely. Because we're like really already pissed off at ourselves enough. And the fact that we did this 3 years ago, and this whole time we've been just trucking along like, oh sure, everything's fine. But like literally 2016, that was December. We bought it December 9th, 2016. And not just because of buying the car, but it was right around that time that our lives started going to hell in a handbasket in so many different areas. Mm-hmm. It was the month after that we started getting our old house ready to sell, and 4 months later, we bought this house. So we were basically just like delusional or something. I don't know. I just don't know.
And I was listening to like a crime podcast the other day or something, and this guy's daughter died or something like that, blah, blah, blah. But he was like, after a big tragedy happens in your life, which, not comparing that, but I mean, we did have the 2 miscarriages and we had all the other stuff going
And then
on.
we finally had
I would
our
say
kids
like
and-
we were going through a bittersweet tragedy in a sense.
Well, and I was dealing with postpartum depression
and all
at this
that,
time
yes.
after Brooks was born.
And you literally lose track of reality. And
That's very
like,
true.
You don't know what you are doing and at all. Like, you know what you're doing, but you don't understand the repercussions. Looking back at this, I'm just like, what the hell were we thinking? Like, seriously.
Like, if somebody had showed us this video in 2013, we would have been like, that's not us. Like, there's no way that's us telling that story.
Mm-hmm.
Because we wouldn't have believed that we would have gotten into this place where we were doing these things and making these purchases. So
that's just
I
like,
have to go pick up the
yeah,
kids.
we're running on a time crunch here, but that's just one of the big debts we have right now. We'll get into the other numbers. Maybe we should do like a Dave Ramsey phone call, like an act, like what's your total income, household income,
Yeah.
and what's your and like talk through it like that, as well as maybe try to call the show and talk to him and see, because like I would feel completely dumb calling him right now because we know the answer. Sell your stupid car, sell your stupid golf cart. Sell everything. We've been selling everything. I sold the iMac 2 weeks ago that we bought 2 years ago, like, you know, on Facebook Market. All this stuff. Sell your house and get your together, because that's what he would say. So I don't know. We just need to, yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, we want to make a video that's more coherent than this, because this was all over the place. Our time's about to run out on our SD card. I gotta go get the kids.
Thanks for watching, guys.